Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Sam.
And this is Daniel.
And we are
the Kwak Brothers.
And in this video, we're going to be talking about how to win the bidding war. And of course, this is a follow-up to the video we posted on Wednesday, which is titled, Should You Wait to Buy a Home or Not? And this video is going to be for those individuals who are looking to buy a home between now and the next 12 months. And how do you exactly win that bidding war? Because it's rough out there, isn't it, Sam?
Absolutely. And we'll enter some areas where you can use some of the tactics and some of the strategies we're going to talk about to even buy investment properties, rental properties, fix and flip. Now, stick around to the end because we're also going to talk about how to go under the radar and not only beat the bidding war, but how to transcend it where you don't even have to fight and get into the war. We're going to show you how to do that and still buy the home or invest in the property you want to.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's how we buy our properties, isn't it, Sam?
Absolutely.
So we're going to show you guys how to do that. And of course, guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video as well.
Absolutely. So let's get into the bidding war stuff. And let's say you do want to fight, right? You got your sleeves rolling up and you're like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go and get into the bidding war and let's go and win.
We can do this all day.
Now, before I share some strategies and tactics with you guys, we got to understand the psychology of the bidding war and how the sellers are thinking about accepting your offer. So in the dream world, in the perfect world scenario, what sellers want at the end of the day, and I usually put it in a hierarchy. So the top of the hierarchy, the best offer would probably be like a cash offer, no contingencies, no inspection, take it as is, and boom, you're closing next week. That's probably the best option for the sellers to take, unless there's some, caveats there. Now, the bottom of the pit, probably the least favorable offer is something like FHA, full contingencies, inspections required. In fact, 2 inspections are required. And there's a long dreaded waiting period for the loan docs to come in to close. So it takes forever to get into the closing table.
This is absurd.
That's probably the bottom of the totem pole as far as what the sellers want. So the closer you get to the top, the most favorable offer structure, you're probably going to win the bidding war. And of course, we'll share some micro strategies that you can use to win the bidding war.
And don't forget, guys, these little things that you could do to really make your offer more acceptable, much more appealing. Even some stuff like, hey, I'm willing to pay for your moving costs if we're able to close in 2 weeks. I have cash, kind of like what Sam said. And it's very important to do what I call shape the money. Right? What's valuable to that individual may not be valuable to what's known as other sellers. I love the example. If you talk to a 14-year-old girl and you offer her, hey, do you want $200 or do you want tickets to go see, I don't know who's popular nowadays.
BTS, I guess.
Or Justin Bieber. Is he still popular?
I don't know. I think Justin Bieber is
obviously tickets to Justin Bieber, whoever, that's going to be more valuable than $200 in cash, even if the tickets to Justin Bieber may be worth less monetary wise. So shape the money, ask questions, figure out what is valuable to the seller, and just little stuff like offering to pay moving costs, because let's be real, a lot of people selling their homes are downsizing, they're moving to different states. These little things that cause a very much of an emotional trigger, an emotional reaction, these are things that could really set you guys apart from other offers.
Absolutely. Now, one of the obvious things is, number one, have a pre-approval letter in hand. Real estate agents and brokers want to see that because obviously you don't want to make an offer and you don't have financing ready to go unless, you're paying cash, right? But if you're planning on doing financing, make sure you have a pre-approval in hand before you go. Another tactic you can also employ is be willing to pay for the entire real estate agent's commission. Now, typically the seller is the one that pays the commission for the real estate agent. Now, one of the offers or one of the things you can add to the offer is, listen, I'll pay for the seller's commission. A lot of times sellers, that's a huge obstacle for them, right? Having to pay 5 or 6% real estate commission. Well, if you're willing to fork that and pay for it, well, that just makes your offer even stronger compared to some of the other bids and offer that the seller may get. Another one is waiving contingencies. So that also includes waiving inspections, waiving certain clauses or conditions to which the offer will stand. You can waive those. Obviously, that may be less favorable to you and puts you in a more riskier position. But hey, if you want to win the bidding war, you want to get bloody,
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of what Sam's points are is the ability to, close that gap in terms of the actual time it takes to close the property. Because let's be real, right? From the perspective of a seller, probably one of the things they're thinking right now is how long is this hot housing market going to last?
Right.
They want to sell their house before another crash comes or before prices start dropping. And so to meet that need, right, offer something, again, like what Sam said, something really fast, something quick that, sellers ease their mind, helps them go to sleep better at night. But having said all that, let's get to the juicy part, because I feel like a lot of our YouTube audience wants to know how we buy our properties. So Sam, any ideas on how we do that?
So let's go and talk about some of the under the radar stuff, things that could help you avoid the bidding war and go straight to the seller without the middleman. Because what's happening is that if you're fighting in a bidding war, it's assuming that you're buying or looking to make offers on properties that are on the MLS for sale, meaning that a real estate agent has listed it and that's in that world. Well, let's go and take you out of that world, put you in a different universe where you can go ahead and talk to the seller directly, and there's a more of a one-on-one type of conversation versus 20 different buyers wanting to make an offer. So one of the ways you can do is it's kind of a backdoor approach, and some of you guys may not quite have thought about this yet, is to do what's called a lease with an option. Now, this takes a little bit more effort, but I believe it definitely beats the bidding war and having to go through that mess, and that is lease with an option. Now, what this basically means is that you're gonna go and rent a property, but before you go rent a property for yourself, right, a single family home, something that you like, something you may wanna buy, and you offer, hey, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Landlord, I'm gonna rent this out for the next year or two. Will you entertain an option for a purchase, meaning that, will you give me a contract, a promise that I can buy the property at any time in the next 2 to 3 years? You can set that up to however long you want. And what that allows you to do is you can set a price that you're willing to pay today, what the seller is willing to sell it for, what the landlord is willing to sell it for. And in 2 to 3 years later, if the price goes up, if the value of the home goes up, well, now you built substantial equity to where you execute on that option and you get to buy that property for a set price, all the while that the price of the home may have gone up.
Yeah, and guys, I know a lot of people might be saying, well, Sam, isn't that just a rent-to-own situation? Well,
similar.
It's actually not. There's actually 2 key differences. In a lease option, you have what's known as a lease option premium, where you actually pay that premium up front. Now, typically for a single-family house, depending on how big it is, that premium looks to be around $1,500 to $3,000 that you pay the seller up front for even having that option contract to be able to buy it, right? So that's number one, which is the lease option premium. And secondly, typically in a lease option situation, the buyer actually has an opportunity to earn equity as part of that process, as part of that payment, have it go towards the eventual down payment purchase if you decide to exercise that option.
Now, one key benefit with lease option is that, let's say you go and find a home and you live in it for 2 to 3 years, and you have the option to go and buy it later down the road, and you're like, you know what, I don't really like this place anymore. It's kind of wearing us off. Well, you don't have to exercise the option anymore, pack up your bags and leave and go find another place you want to. But let's say you do want to stick around and you love the home and this is where you want to be, you can exercise the option and boom, you're buying the property.
Yeah, and obviously that's important because, recent survey says 64% of millennials actually regret their home purchase. So if you have an option, it's called an option for a reason. You have the option to not exercise the option.
Yeah.
So, in many ways, if you regret buying the home, the maintenance costs were a lot higher, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that at least gives you the ability to sample the home before you actually commit in buying. And it's a phenomenal backdoor strategy, especially with the crazy market that's going on right now.
So that's option number one, lease option. So that leads us to the second way that you could probably buy properties under the radar, which is something called owner financing. And I love owner financing. Sam and I, as a matter of fact, bought about $4 million worth of real estate utilizing owner financing. So why don't you give them the basic details on how it works?
So the way the owner financing works is that essentially you're making monthly payments to the seller of the property, just like a bank. So the seller essentially becomes the bank, and the seller gives you the ownership right of the property. Now, each of the payments that you make to the seller, you get a little bit of equity and a little bit more ownership over time. Now, typically, we've got a lot more success with buying a property using owner financing with landlords. In fact, this is something that you would do with lease option as well, right? Talk to the landlord directly and say, hey, listen, I love your home. This is the area that I'm in. Actually, would not mind buying your home. Would you be interested in entertaining that option where I would lease the property, but let's set a option contract to be able to buy that home later down the road, or buy it right away.
And with anything else, of course, whether it's lease option, owner financing, you have to know your audience, right? So for owner financing, the ideal seller that this is going to work with is somebody who already has a lot of cash in the bank, somebody who wants that long-term passive income stream coming in. As a matter of fact, we bought our first home that we bought, right?
Our own residence.
Our own residence before we both got married, right? Well, it was actually, we bought it through seller financing. And the landlord actually lived right next door, and it was a beautiful home, 2,500 square feet.
We did like 2.5% down. I mean, it was phenomenal. 3% interest rate at the time, this is back in 2017. So interest rates were a little bit higher than what you're seeing today. So we had a smoking hot deal on that, and that was on owner financing, folks. So for those that are wanting to buy a home and you're frustrated with the bidding war, you're getting outbid $20,000, $30,000, or again, I mentioned in our last video, if you're in California or New York, getting outbid by $100,000, $200,000, sometimes by cash offer. So one of the ways to go underground and kind of under the radar where you're not necessarily fighting in the same playing field, is to go approach potential landlords and other individuals out there and offer a lease with an option to purchase later on. Yeah. That at least secures not only the price to what you negotiate for, but it allows you to avoid the bidding war and being outbidded.
Yep, and also seller financing. And by the way, guys, if you guys have any comments in terms of what you believe is a good strategy to buy under the radar, or maybe we have some investors watching this video right now, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, because Sam and I only really mentioned 2. And if you guys want to see a continuation, if you want us to see more and share more ideas, please let us know again in the comment section
Maybe you want us to go deeper into how a lease option works, right? If you guys want to see how it's structured and how it's negotiated, we could talk a little bit about that. Again, comment down below and we'll be sure to take a look and make a video about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, guys, have a great weekend. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and also, of course, comment down below what else you want to see more from us in terms of housing market, real estate, economy, you name it. So with that, guys, thank you again so much. Any last words, Sam?
That's pretty much it, guys. So as this video is released, I'll stick around for about an hour to read the comments and reply, and we'll have a conversation. So definitely leave your comments down below. We'll see you in the next video where we'll talk more about housing market. And if you have any questions, drop them down below.
See you guys.